Ready to go. My YouTube channel. Yeah, just the channel. No, not a particular video. Okay, we are live. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, let me. Oh, I think my video at the background. We are live. Good afternoon. Okay, yes, we are live. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Divinely Classic. And as you know, this is a place where we do all things health and fitness. My name is Ewino Sarabo Esangbedo, and I'm the face behind Divinely Classic. And what we do here is we encourage healthy living in a variety of ways. We share our healthy meal ideas. We do health education events like we are having today. And thank you so much for those that have joined us already. The time is 4 o'clock and we are starting now. We're not waiting. The others can join us. The title of the event that we're doing is exploring the impact of hypertension on the eyes. And, that's something that I wasn't even aware of. I know about diabetic retinopathy, but I never knew that prolonged and unmanaged hypertension can actually damage our eyes. And when I got to know this, I thought, wow, that is interesting. And I've got some fantastic medical personnel as family, brothers, sisters, and I thought, let's come together and do to do this event to educate people about the effects of prolonged and unmanaged hypertension on our eyes. We are streaming this live on YouTube. And if you're watching from YouTube, we want to say thank you for joining. Once again, my name is Enwano Sarabo Esangbedo, and we have people that will be teaching us today. We have Dr. Andrew Eweka, and we have Dr. Inye Uwagboy. These are two people who know their onions when it comes to talking about high blood pressure and hypertensive retinopathy. Dr. Eweka is a medical doctor, and Dr. Inye is an optometrist, so specialist in eyes. And yes, they are so ready to teach us. And without much ado, we're going to kick off because of time. I don't want to waste people's time. We're going to start with Dr. Andrew. If you want to introduce yourself, and Dr. Inya will introduce herself as well before we kick off.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and thanks for being here today. My name is Dr. Andrew Eweka. I'm a general practitioner based here in the United Kingdom. I want to thank the CEO of the Valley Classic, Mrs. N.Y. Esangbedo, for this opportunity. I want to especially appreciate her because the honest truth is that she has been very supportive, especially for the Black community in the UK, raising this awareness and trying to do health promotion initiatives every now and then. She does it free of charge, and she teaches us a lot in the process. We really appreciate you. So today, without much ado, we're going to be talking about essential hypertension, the management, and my colleague, Dr. Inye, will be talking about how hypertension affects the eye. So I was telling this everyone yesterday. I said it's not about the theory. We're not just here to tell you what we know. We want to teach you, make sure that at the end of the day you live here, uh, being better people, knowing more about your health, and putting everything into practice. Because what is knowledge without practice? So I will try and break things down as much as I can to make sure that everybody is carried along. So I would encourage everyone to listen because there will be a quiz at the end of the discussion just to check our engagement. And of course, there will also be opportunity for questions. I have 40 minutes for this talk, so I'm going to be summarizing a lot of things, and hopefully in the discussion we can have more robust interaction. So, so what is hypertension? Let me just start with a short story. This is a story of Mr. Sunday, who is a 55-year-old gentleman. He's a farmer. Let me say he was a farmer because he has passed away now. He used to be very active. He used to be a very vibrant member of the community. Very strong man, very strong-willed. He woke up in the morning even before the sun comes up, and gets back. at night, when everywhere is very dark. The guy was very hardworking, but he rarely visited the clinic. He always said that he was fine, he doesn't fall sick easily and all that. So throughout his adult life, he never went to the clinic for any checkup, no blood pressure check, no blood test, nothing. So one day he was in the farm, and then suddenly he began to have like shortness of breath. Before you know, he started having dizziness, and ultimately begin to have chest pain. So he suddenly slumped and he was rushed to the hospital. Upon getting to the hospital, he was pronounced dead, and before he was pronounced dead, his blood pressure was checked and it was over the roof. He had a blood pressure of about 200 over 140. So this story is not really about Mr. Bako, Mr. Sunday Bako. It's about your people around you, your father, your mother, your neighbors, your friends. It won't be about you, you know, because hypertension is a very dangerous condition. The reason why I say it's dangerous is because it's a silent killer. Why did I call it a silent killer? I call it a silent killer because this condition, known as hypertension, has no symptoms, especially when the blood pressure is creeping up. You begin to see symptoms when it becomes complicated. I'm very happy that one of our sister, who's an optometrist, is talking about one of the complications today. That is how it affects the eyes. But apart from the heart, the eyes, it affects other parts of the body as well. Okay, it affects the brain, affects the kidney, name it. It affects even the blood vessels and the heart itself. I'm going to be explaining how it does this, in a couple of minutes. So it's a very dangerous condition. It's one of the most chronic conditions that causes a lot of problems in the body. So I think that's why we need to have knowledge of what it is. So let's start, by understanding what the condition actually is. Hypertension is also known as high blood pressure, as we all know, and we have what we call blood vessels in the body, okay, that carry blood from one part of the body to another. Okay, we have the arteries that transport blood from the heart to other peripheral or other organs in the body, and the vein is the one that takes blood from other organs of the body to the heart. So when we talk about high blood pressure, we're talking more about the arteries, the one that take blood from the heart to other parts of the body. And in hypertension, there's a buildup of blood, of pressure in the blood, flowing through these arteries. And just think about it like a pipe. When you increase the pressure of water in the pipe, the pressure can make the water to burst through the pipe, and by doing so, the pipe might get clogged up, and it become narrow in the process or after a very, very, very long time. So this is what happens in hypertension. Okay, so like I said, when it comes to blood pressure, okay, usually the doctor quotes two values, tells you 120 over 80, sometimes 140 over 90. We need to understand what these values they mean. Okay, so the one at the top is called the systolic blood pressure. Okay, so that is the blood pressure or the pressure of the blood when your heart is beating. Okay, and at the bottom we have the diastolic blood pressure that tells you the pressure in the blood when the heart is at rest. Okay, I know that the heart beats continuously even when you are sleeping because it's an involuntary organ, but then there are periods where the heart rests, it fills up before it begins to pump and contract again. Okay, so during the period when it's not contracting, okay, that's the pressure in the blood vessel, which is the artery, is the diastolic blood pressure. The reason why we need to know these values is because that will help us interpret if a person is hypertensive or not. Now, I must say this, especially in African and Nigerian countries, you find out that a person just goes to the hospital or the pharmacist or the chemist and they check the blood pressure at once and tell the person you are hypertensive. Young man, you're hypertensive, young lady, you're hypertensive. That is not the right way to go about things. Here in the UK, we usually do what we call serial blood pressure measurement. Okay, we measure the BP over a certain period of time, maybe 3 days, 5 days. Most times we use 7 days, which is 1 week. We give the patient a machine. Okay, and the patient takes it 2 times a day for the next 7 days, and the patient brings back the chart. So when we look at the chart, we now do the average. The average reading is what we use to determine if the patient is hypertensive or not just a single reading. because in the clinic we have what we call white coat hypertension. It's a situation whereby somebody is normotensive, which means that the person's blood pressure is normal at home, but when the person gets into the hospital, because of fear or some certain anxiety or change of environment, the person's blood pressure just begins to go up, and that is now interpreted as high blood pressure. But that's actually not the case in most people. Most people have white coat hypertension. That's why we won't tell them, go home, take it in a more relaxed setting where you're not frantic or anything. Take your blood pressure and you bring it back and we'll do the measurements. So it's all about mathematics at the end of the day. So according to WHO, over 1.28 billion people worldwide have hypertension. And the funny thing is that half of these people are not even aware that they have hypertension, which means that it's just a silent, it's just creeping up, just there, you know. And 1 in 5 of these people have their blood pressure not controlled, even with medications and all that. I'm going to talk about the management later on. You will get to know what I'm talking about, you know. But 1 in 5 have their blood pressure controlled, which means that 4 in 5, which is 80%, have uncontrolled blood pressure. So it's uncontrolled blood pressure that leads to these complications that we spoke about: the stroke, the chronic kidney disease, the heart attack, and so on and so forth. So I hope we're all following. Okay, so it's very, very important to know that in terms of epidemiology, Africa is the continent that has more hypertensive patients than other continents. I don't know why, it's all about research, something that has been shown by basic research that Black people are more prone to hypertension. If you were in the last lecture, we talked about prostate cancer. I mentioned that Black men are more prone to prostate cancer than white counterparts. Okay, it's just genetics. It has nothing to do with anything. So it's something we need to be aware of. That's why we need to be more careful as Black people, when it comes to living a healthy life and preventing high blood pressure. Because to be very honest, high blood pressure is better prevented than controlled. You don't want to be at the receiving end of taking medications and all that, but those medications have their own side effects. And when you're on medication, you have to be on it on a blessed day. You don't skip your medication, you take it every day. Some people even have more than 3 medications for their blood pressure. Okay, we don't want to be in that situation, because trust me, people who are taking it, they are going through a lot in terms of cost and all that. Those drugs are not cheap. Okay, so having said that, let's move on to the. Can you scroll down, please? Let's move on to the stages of hypertension. Let's look at the stages. Hypertension is not something that just happens overnight. It's like a ladder. So you move on from one stage to another, move on to one stage to another, like that. So the normal blood pressure is less than 120/80, as you can see on the screen. So when you have a blood pressure of less than 120/80, that's called healthy or normal blood pressure. When it becomes elevated is when it's now more than 120. So it's a category known as elevated blood pressure. At that point, you're not hypertensive yet, but you are at the verge of becoming hypertensive. So at this point, we tell people to reduce their salt, exercise regularly, avoid alcohol, stop smoking, monitor their BP regularly, and all that. It's just like a stage before the main event. So at this point, everybody's eyes have to be on guard. So we also have what we call the high blood pressure hypertension stage 1. Okay, when the systolic is more than it's about 130 to 139, and the systolic is between 80 to 89. We also have stage 2, 140 or higher, diastolic 90 or higher. Then we have the hypertensive crisis. This is what happened to Mr. Sunday, the guy I was describing before. That had a blood pressure of over 200. So in this hypertensive crisis, if I see my patients in clinic and I notice that their blood pressure is more than 180 over 120, I don't faff around with them. I ask them to go to the AIE immediately. In fact, I don't even ask them to go. I call the ambulance. This is a very, very dangerous level to be in, or a very dangerous stage to find yourself. Okay, so that will call the hypertensive crisis. So moving on, I think we can move to the next slide. So this is very, very important. This is the reason why we are here today. Okay, if you have been sleeping, it's time to wake up. The risk factors of hypertension. We need to know the risk factors. When it comes to risk factors are things that predispose you to certain conditions. Maybe lifestyle habits, stuff like that. Just like we're talking about malaria now, you say when you expose yourself to mosquito bites, that's a risk factor. You're not using mosquito nets in your houses. You're not using mosquito repellents. That is a risk factor. You are a young child less than 5 years. That is a risk factor for malaria. Because you cannot compare a 5-year-old child to a 40-year-old man. The 40-year-old man has immunity, but the 5-year-old child has less immunity. So they come down to malaria easily than the adult counterpart. So now, when it comes to risk factors for hypertension, we have what we call the uncontrollable or unmodifiable risk factors, and we have what we call the modifiable risk factors. The honest truth of the matter is that some of these factors I'm going to be talking about, they affect all diseases, not just high blood pressure. We're talking about diabetes, talking about cancer, talking about other chronic long-term conditions. They all affect it in one way or the other. Are you with me? So when it comes to the uncontrollable risk factors, there are things that you cannot do anything about it. Okay, you're either born with it or exposed to it by birth or by genetics. So there's nothing you can really do. You're just at the mercy of those risk factors. For example, age. As we grow older, our blood vessels begin to thicken out, and begin to thicken out the what we call the peripheral resistance of the arteries. They increase, okay, and the cardiac output of the heart increases, and so those two factors can increase the blood pressure. So when you give birth to a child today, the blood pressure is usually very low. A newborn baby's blood pressure is like 50 over maybe 30 or thereabout. It's low. But as the baby begins to grow up, 16 years, 20 years, 50 years, the blood pressure increases with age. So that's one thing you cannot do anything about, which is age. Secondly, genetics. There's some people who have family history of high blood pressure. You understand? Like maybe your father, your mother, your grandparents, or your sister, or whatever. Anybody that's related to you by blood who has high blood pressure, who died of high blood pressure, you're at risk of high blood pressure. So you have to be more careful than someone who has no family history of high blood pressure. You're not in the same category. You're not mates. So that's another unmodifiable risk factors we have to be aware about. Okay, so thirdly is your ethnicity. I mentioned before that black people are more prone to high blood pressure than white people. So that's another risk factor. Okay, so now we're not so concerned about the uncontrollable risk factors because we cannot really do anything about it. We're just there. But the controllable risk factors are things that we can do, certain things about, like our lifestyle. So number one risk factor there is the unhealthy diet, okay, especially high salt intake. All right. So if you're a type that love salt, you cannot do without salt. These are the things we're talking about. Eating Indomie noodles every now and then, eating chips, using Maggi, maybe 10 cubes of Maggi inside your soup. You want it to be very sweet. These are the issues. Drinking Pepsi around 11 p.m. at night, watching movie with Pepsi, eating popcorn. Those things are too sugary and sometimes too salty. And what salt does is that when it enters your blood vessel, it retains water and increases your blood pressure in the process. So unhealthy diet is one of the things. And I think Mrs. N1 is always, advocating against it on her status on social media. She shows you what she eats, and everything is usually very healthy. That's why at her age she's looking this young and beautiful. So I think we should all borrow a cue from her. When it comes to diet, diet is very, 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 very essential. When it comes to most chronic diseases, I think, from my experience, diet is more relevant than exercise. Yes, trust me. If you are someone it's just the honest truth, I'm telling you now from research. If you are someone who doesn't exercise, by just modifying your diet alone is enough, to stem the tide when it comes to control of these chronic diseases. So after having mentioned that, we move on to physical inactivity, living a sedentary lifestyle. There's some people who they want to go and buy a car from the junction. They will use their car. They want to show everybody that they've arrived. That's an opportunity for you to, walk, take a walk, exercise yourself, do some moderate intensity exercise. That is what helps to burn off your bad fats and keep you in shape in terms of your weight. Because whether you like it or not, obesity and overweight is another risk factor that increases the risk of high blood pressure. So take walks, instead of using the lift, use the steps. I did sometimes. I go very early to work just so I take the step, because where I work is I work on the 7th floor of my hospital. Okay, some people they see me using the stairs, they be like, "You're this of our head." No, I'm not this of our head. I'm helping myself. I'm actually helping myself by so doing. So do not see trekking, do not see exercise as of ahead. Try to incorporate all this into your daily activities. Um, Also, when it comes to risk factors, I don't know if you've mentioned alcohol. Alcohol is another risk factor. Drinking too much alcohol raises your blood pressure indirectly. People ask me what is the recommended amount of alcohol for men and women. Okay, I would say there's a formula for it and it's quite complex, so I don't want to go into it, but I would just say usually for most I said soft drink, no, hard drinks, the alcohol we're talking about now, the beer, the spirits, they usually have what we call the alcohol volume. So we quote it as 5%, 6%, 2%, 10%. That is the alcohol volume. Then alcohol volume times the volume of the liquid you are drinking. For example, you are drinking something like Heineken. I don't know how much is Heineken. I think it's about 300 cl. So you convert the cl to milliliters and multiply it by the percentage alcohol volume and divide it by 1,000. So basically, that is it. Then WHO has advocated that men and women should not drink more than 14 units of alcohol per week. So if you can do your mathematics, you can know how many units you drink in a week if you are a chronic drinker or you're a regular drinker, unlike us who drink in parties like the one that Atienwa invites us to. So that is for me. That's how we do it. So for alcohol, you have to be very moderate about your consumption, and of course, smoking is another risk factor. Because smoking narrows the blood vessels. Okay, and what the narrowing of the blood vessel will do is that it increases the blood pressure because it's like there's a resistance in the vessel. Okay, so when you smoke over a certain period of time, it clogs the blood vessel and increase the peripheral resistance, and therefore increase the blood pressure in the same vein. So if you smoke, it's another thing you have to be very careful about. And finally, I would like to mention chronic stress. Okay, during chronic stress, if you are someone who undergoes chronic stress, you're always complaining, bitterly, you're under stress, every now and then having headache, neck pain, stiffness, you're fed up because you're under stress, maybe because of your work, your children, your husband, and so on and so forth. You're at risk of high blood pressure. Why? Because what stress does is that it creates a kind of fight and flight mechanism or fight and flight or response. When adrenaline is increased in excess, and adrenaline is a hormone that affects both the blood vessels and the heart. Okay, what it does is that it makes the heart beat very fast as a response, and it's vasoconstricts or reduces the diameter of the blood vessel, thereby increasing the blood pressure. So if you don't know how stress causes increased blood pressure, I just explained it to you now. Very easy. So that's how it does it. Okay. So stress is another risk factor. Can we scroll down a bit? Can we go to the next slide? Okay. So these are just clinical features of high blood pressure. Initially I mentioned that high blood pressure is silent, which means that most times it has no tangible symptoms. Okay, but in some cases, especially when it becomes complicated, you begin to show symptoms, like headache at the back of your head, like you wake up in the morning, the first thing that will greet you is the headache, and all that, or headache when you cough, or headache when you strain yourself. Those are all um, signs of hypertension. Okay, well, that does not mean that when you have headache, you just conclude that you have hypertension. Okay, you could check your blood pressure, fine. Okay, but not all headaches are hypertension headaches. Okay, it could be a migraine, it could be a tension headache, it could be cluster headache, it could be anything really. Okay, so headache is a sign. Okay, dizziness, vomiting, nausea, these are all signs, just like any condition in the body. Okay, so we'll move on to the next slide, please. Now, this is the meat of today. This is why we are actually here, okay, to know about the complications, to drive the fear of God in every one of us who's attending this symposium. Complications are basically any serious event or serious problem that can occur as a result of another condition. Okay, so this is high blood pressure causing problems in the body. You can see the arrow, you see, going to different areas, you know, Dr. Ian is going to be talking about the eye in a short while, okay? But I just want to let you know now that the hypertension is a, let's say, is a triple-edged sword. It's more than a triple-edged sword because it affects the eyes, the brain, okay? It affects the kidneys, affects the blood vessels. It even affects the heart itself, okay? So hypertension can cause problems like heart failure. After a long period of time, you notice that the heart is failing. The heart can no longer pump blood to other parts of the body, okay? And then before you know, people's body begin to swell up, they become short of breath, they begin to sweat excessively. Those are all signs of heart failure, okay? Or in some very, very severe cases, the blood pressure can just make the person's heart to just stop. That's what we call heart attack. Okay, because even the heart has its own blood vessels as well. I don't know if you know, the heart has its own blood vessels. So the blood vessel that goes to the heart becomes clogged off, and before you know it, the portion of the heart begins to die, and that causes heart attack. The person just walking on the roads, driving or whatever, and the person just slump. We've seen a lot of accidents happen in Nigeria. People just driving on the road and they just slump, heart attack. So those are the things that can happen to the heart. It can also affect the brain, causing bleeding, what we call hemorrhagic stroke in medical parlance. And sometimes the blood vessels of the brain might be clogged off, and it can cause ischemic stroke. Okay, so stroke patients, one side of their body is not working, or they begin to have slurred speech or difficulty in seeing well. Okay, those are all signs of stroke. Okay, and that can happen as a result of high blood pressure that is not controlled. Okay, so it can affect the eyes, causing vision problems, blood vision, even sudden vision loss. Person just walking, all of a sudden cannot see the big board again. So it's not funny, really. It's really, really a very sad situation to see people, lose certain organs in their body, like their eyes, because of elevated blood pressure. So I think that's one of the things we need to be aware of. And also, it can affect the kidney. I've not even mentioned that. There's something we call chronic kidney disease, CKD. It's a very common condition, especially in the Black population. High blood pressure can cause chronic kidney disease. Diabetes can cause chronic kidney disease. But in Black population, hypertension is a major culprit, to be honest. CKD is a very expensive disease. I know a lot of people already know. People spend millions on dialysis, and there are some sub-Saharan countries like Nigeria, that we don't have what we call the social insurance. So people pay out of pocket to access health facilities and basic things like hemodialysis. So you find out that people pay so much, and if you don't have money, honestly speaking, it's a very, very terrible place to be, you know, because like it's called chronic kidney disease. Most people don't recover from it. It's just like a ladder, just like hypertension. They go downhill from stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3 to stage 4. It progresses like that, unfortunately. And that can lead to end stage kidney disease, which can ultimately cause death. Okay. Um, it's very sad. You don't want to be, at that level. So why not just prevent it, really? Okay. So prevention is better than cure. Okay. So can you scroll down a bit? So I'm about to. I will soon be ending my discussion. So we talked about what hypertension is. We talked about the risk factors. We talked about the signs. We talked about the dangerous complications that are associated with it. So the most important question now is, what can we do about all this we've said? What can we do is not just about the medicine. It's about what we can do in terms of practically, the non-medicinal aspect, which is what we can do. Okay. So let's dive into it and just talk about it briefly. Number one thing that you can do as an individual is healthy eating. Okay, I think this is something that Auntie Ewan talks about every now and then on our social media space. I think most people will just find it. I say it's boring, it's boring. These are the things that you need to listen to. These are the things you need to watch for your own good. Okay, those are the things that motivate you. Okay, because to be honest, diet is one of the most powerful tools to control blood pressure. Okay, there's also something we call the DASH diet, which stands for dietary approach to stop hypertension. So basically what it means is that just focusing on eating more fruit, eating more vegetables, eating more whole grains like oats, millet, brown rice, low fatty dairy like, yogurt and milk, eating less salt. I think I'll emphasize on salt. Salt is it's like a silent killer. People don't know about it so much. They think it's good, but you find people putting salt on their dining table, even after cooking, they still add to it because their taste buds have already been programmed, to have a low threshold for salt. But we need to be very careful about salt, especially as we age, especially as we increase in age. Okay, because like I explained, salt increases water in the blood vessels, and that can increase your blood pressure. So WHO advocates that we should take not more than 6 grams of salt every day, which means 6 grams of salt is about a tablespoon of salt. That's the estimate. So as much as possible, try and reduce your salt intake. Your taste bud will definitely adjust to it as time goes by. Okay, it's just a thing of practice. All right, that does not mean that your food not be sweet. You can add other flavors like ginger, garlic, to make add flavor to your food. It must not be salt all the time. And put salt in your food, but put it in moderation and try to have that in mind. Okay. Also, fill half of your plate every now and then with vegetables and fruits. Okay, it's not always a 4 wrap of akpu, 4 wrap of akpu. Okay, eba on the jam. Let us all be very cautious. Whatever you eat and whatever goes into your body is what you are. Okay, it manifests. It might not manifest today, it might not manifest tomorrow, but it begins to build up gradually and may cause problems if not taking note of. Okay, so choose boiled, grilled, and steamed food instead of fried food. The problem with fried food is that when you fry stuff like that, it increases the trans fatty acid or fatty content uh, in your diet. Okay, your saturated fats also go up, and something we call the bad cholesterol, which is the LDL cholesterol, goes up, and that causes a lot of problems because it blocks your blood vessels, and that is what we call arteriosclerosis, and ultimately that leads to increased blood pressure. Okay, so more of boiled food, less of fried food. I know fried food is very sweet. Oh. Fried food is very sweet, not a sweet pass, but I think we should be very cognizant of the fact that I've said this, and that is how it is in reality. Okay, so some people take a lot of snacks, eating biscuits, eating all sorts of junk. You know, you can snack with healthy food. You can snack with healthy food. Okay, it's actually doable. Okay, you can eat nuts, you can eat fruits, as a snack. You must not buy biscuits and eat all those things. They contain a lot of unnecessary processed sugars, and that can ultimately cause weight gain, which can ultimately cause high blood pressure. So everything is related. Anything that has to do with diet, alcohol, smoking, stress, weight gain, everything is like a circle, and it all ties down to high blood pressure and chronic diseases. Okay. Um, so I talked about your diet, talked about salt intake. It's I think it's high time I talk about physical activity. We have to move our body. We need to protect our health. We need to protect our well-being. Okay. Um, Immediately I leave this program now, I'm going to play football. I don't joke with my exercise. People who know me know I don't joke with my exercise. Every week I must exercise. To do vigorous exercise like 2 times a week. That's my own habit. And people who see me will say, "Oh, you're so slim, you're so slim." I will laugh because the truth of the matter is that I think I must say this here. It's not about how you look physically. There's some people who are slim, but they have high BMI. BMI is the ratio of your weight to your height. You know, it's not just your weight, you have to compare to your height to know what, and it gives us an idea about your belly fat, what we call the abdominal fat, because this is what is more important. Okay, so if you don't know your BMI, try and check your BMI. Okay, and try to walk for a healthy BMI. A healthy BMI is between 18 to 25. Okay, so if your BMI is greater than 25, that means you're overweight. And if your BMI is greater than 30, that means you're obese. Okay, I'm not here to cast any aspersion on anybody, but just an education, okay, so that everyone will know what is normal and what is expected for health, so for your healthy well-being. Okay, so maintaining a body weight is very, very important. Being overweight and obese will increase your blood pressure. Avoiding smoking, limiting your alcohol. I've said all that before. You know, managing stress is very, very, very important, especially in the kind of situation we find ourselves. You know, everybody's so busy. You know, going to work. You know, taking care of children. You don't have time for anything. You're under stress 247. Next you wake up in the morning, you're on the go, till you get back at night. Even when you get back at night, you can't even sleep because you have a lot of distractions here and there. That's the reality we find ourselves. You cannot take that away from it. So, but the truth is, poor sleep is also linked to high blood pressure. We talk about 7 to 8 hours of sleep for adults, and that is what is recommended. You know, so don't overwork yourself. Pray, meditate. Take quiet time. Go on vacations. Don't bottle up emotions. Talk to people about it. Those are the things that you can do that could help you relieve stress. And I know there are some people who relieve stress in a very unhealthy way, like drinking alcohol just to relieve stress. It's like a vicious cycle, like I said. So drinking more alcohol increases your risk of blood pressure. Smoking, some people smoke to relieve stress, increases your blood pressure. Some people stress eat. Just take a bottle of or a bucket of popcorn and just eating it just to relieve stress. So this is also another issue. Trying to relieve stress, but relieving stress in a negative way and increasing the blood pressure by so doing. Okay, so can you scroll down a bit? One more slide to go. So this table or this chart is just the medications we give as medical practitioners. I'm not going to go into it. It's nobody's business really. These are things that they give you when you have tried every lifestyle measure to reduce your blood pressure and it's not working. They begin to give you medications. Some people are on one of these medications. Some people are on two. Some people are on three. There are different mechanism of action for this medication. There are some that reduce the heart rate. There are some that reduce the diameter of the blood vessel. There are so many pathways. There are so many mechanisms, to this medication. But the honest truth is that you don't want to find yourself taking some of this medication because, just like any medication in the body, some of the medications have their own side effects. And when you get to that stage where you're not taking medications, sometimes the medications might not be able to help you. There's some people that even with the medication is not still controlled. That is the end stage of hypertension. You know, it's very difficult at that point, to do anything about it. Okay, so another advice I would just mention briefly on this chart is that if you are on medication, there's some people who are on medication and they feel good. After a while, their blood pressure drops down and they stop taking it. They tell themselves that, oh, okay, it's time to stop this medication. You cannot just stop a medication without the consent of your doctor or the knowledge of your doctor. Okay, I agree with you, or I agree with the notion that sometimes these medications can be tailed off gradually. Okay, but I don't think it's advisable to just stop the medication you are on because you are feeling good. Because hypertension does not, everybody feels good when they have high blood pressure. It doesn't have symptoms. So I think it's something we need to take note of and tell those people who are in this category or maybe our relatives or other population, okay, to be very, very careful. Don't just stop your medications like that. Okay. There are different criteria we look at before we stop medications for patients as medical practitioners. Okay, so in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, today we've taken a journey, through, one of the most silent but dangerous conditions called hypertension. We've looked at the risk factors, we've looked at the complication, looked at the signs, we've looked at the symptoms. We've gone through everything, but I think the major thing is for us to go back home and begin to implement all these things that have been discussed, because the key to controlling hypertension does not lie in the doctor's office. It lies in your kitchen, in your lifestyle choices, markets. These are the things that when you put it into practice, you begin to see that you're a healthy person overall. What you do with knowledge is very, very important. So let's not go home with fear, but let's go home with faith. Let's not go home with worry, but let's go home with more wisdom. And hopefully, this lecture must have helped you. Thank you very much. So I'm going to take some questions as requested by the hosts today, just to check if you've been following and if you've been carried along. Yeah, so these are the questions. So, how are we going to answer them now? Is it chorus answer, or you want to put it in the chat box?
I'll suggest putting it in the chat box, and then we'll just go through it together.
Okay, I would like everyone to participate. I want it to be like a participatory session. Okay, so no answer is wrong, no answer is right. Okay, we're going to just have a discussion and of course come up with better answers. What is the best way to find out if someone has high blood pressure? So A, take medicine and see if they feel better. B, measure their blood pressure once and make a decision. C, check their blood pressure more than once on different days. D, do a full body scan. E, ask if they feel dizzy.
Do you have the okay, we've got answers in the chat section. I'll just scroll down, but just that somebody said C. I'll move the screen a bit. Do you have the PowerPoint with you? Can you do the questions now so that I'm not sharing my screen? Because if I'm sharing, I'm struggling to get into
Okay,
Zoom.
I can't share with my screen. I don't just know why.
No, not okay. Hold on, just hold on. So somebody said C. We need more answers just to check. Just to check.
We need more answers. Okay, let this be more.
Yeah, it's what I was doing. Yeah, thank you. Okay. I'm checking as well. C.
Yeah.
Somebody said, yeah, another person said C. Okay, lots of C's. I'll just move this away. Sorry, I'm trying to use my other phone, but it's not coming. C.
Okay, so the answer to this question is C. Thank you very much, guys, for the responses. The reason why it's C is because I explained initially that what's it called? One blood pressure is not enough, to just conclude that someone has high blood pressure. We see this a lot, on the streets, especially of Nigeria and other African countries. You see people moving around with feeble manometer, telling you to come and check your blood pressure. After a day's the job, you're already tired and exhausted. Ordinarily, physiologically, your blood pressure will be high, and they'll just check your blood pressure and say, oh, 140, 190, come and take this medication. That's how you start taking medication. Okay, so that is why B is not correct, because you don't just measure the blood pressure once and make a decision. No, you have to check the blood pressure more than once on a different day, serially. Okay, usually we do it for 1 week. Okay, morning and evening. Then we do an average reading and we make a decision with that. So next question.
Okay. And we also have people from YouTube as well. They said C as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. So secondly, which of these healthy habits help lower high blood pressure the most? A, drinking more coffee. B, sleeping less. C, losing weight if overweight. D, watching more TV to relax. E, taking vitamins without a doctor's advice. And let the answers pour in quickly.
Yeah. Quick, people. Yeah, we started getting answers. Again, we've got C. C seem to be very popular.
Yeah.
C, more C. Are we sure it's C or B or A? Losing weight if overweight.
Everyone knows this one, though.
Because you elaborated on that. Yes.
Yeah. So,
okay. YouTube C as well.
Yeah.
So what's the correct answer, doctor?
Thank you very much. The correct answer is C, losing weight if you are overweight. So this is one of the risk factors I mentioned. Diet, exercise, smoking alcohol, losing weight, and all that. Okay, so the other options are quite ridiculous. You can't expect to be sleeping less and have low blood pressure. You can't expect to be watching more TV to relax. You need to go out and avoid a sedentary lifestyle. Drinking coffee as it is increases blood pressure. Okay, not reducing blood pressure. Yeah, because coffee contains certain chemicals that increase the blood pressure. All right. So next question.
Okay.
So what does it mean if a person's blood pressure is high? Only when at the doctor's office. A, it means they need surgery. B, it's called white coat hypertension. C, it means their heart is failing. D, it means they have a serious disease. E, it means they are cured.
That one. That's funny. So the answers, let's see what's the answer now. Okay. Okay, somebody said B. We're having B's again. B, B, B. Somebody said it's from nervousness. Thank you, Batista Gabriela, for that.
Yeah.
It's from nervousness. There's another B from gold. Thank you, my darling. And B from YouTube. Thank you for joining. B from my big auntie, Auntie Abiyayiwa Eweka. God bless you, my B. From Yetunde, my dear sister. Thank you, everyone, for your answer. So, doctor, are we correct? And just to say before we go, or before you answer, well done. Our doctor's mom, that's who is one of the people that said B. So I just want to welcome you, Ma. Thank you so much, Ma. God bless you. So, doctor, are we good to go? What's the correct answer?
So the correct answer is 100% option B. It's called white coat
White
hypertension.
coat.
The reason why it's called white coat hypertension is because doctors put on white coats, nurses put on white whatever in their workplace, that's the clinics and the hospital. Okay, so this is all based off a study that was done some time ago when it was noticed that some patients who come in and have high blood pressure in the clinic setting, when they go home, their blood pressures are usually very okay and normal. So this is what we call white coat hypertension because someone is watching you, because some people are observing you, become tensed and people become frantic and anxious in the process of getting the care that they deserve. So because of this, white coat hypertension can occur. Okay, so that's the answer. Next question.
Okay.
So which of the following is a good daily habit to help manage high blood pressure? A, eating salty snacks. B, smoking after meals. C, going for regular walks. D, drinking sugary drinks. E, watching TV all day. Do we need answers for this? I think this is quite.
This is very self-explanatory.
Yeah, so
Let's see the answers anyway. Okay, we got C, 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 lots of C, C. That's going for regular walks. C again, yeah. Lots of C.
yeah, so the answer is C. Thank you very much for the responses. So going for regular walks is like a cheap way of exercising and getting those steps in. You don't need to register for a gym. You don't need to go jogging. You don't need to spend so much. This is a cheap, this is an affordable way. Okay, so those are the things that we look at when we talk about health promotion. You don't need to break your back. You don't need to break the bank. To get those things you need to get. So basically, going for regular walks is very good because if you do brisk walking a lot, it helps to. It's like a moderate intensity kind of exercise that you can do. So brisk walking is definitely the way to go. Let's go. Next question. Why is it important to treat high blood pressure even if a person feels fine?
Okay.
Yeah, so because of time, I'm going to go into the answer quickly so that the
Okay.
next presenter will start.
Yeah.
So blood pressure has a lot of complications. Like I said, it can affect the kidney, it can affect the heart, it can affect the brain. It can affect even the heart itself. And it's good to prevent or treat high blood pressure because it can lead to serious, sudden problems like stroke and even heart attack. These are all life-threatening and even it can take someone's life. Okay, so that's the reason why we need to check our blood pressure from time to time. I would say it's good to check your blood pressure at least once in 6 months. You don't need something to happen to you first, or you don't need to be in the hospital first, before you check your blood pressure. Make it a conscious decision and make it a regular routine to check your blood pressure. Next question. If someone starts medicine for high blood pressure, what should they do? Stop taking it once they feel better. Only take it on weekends. Take it as the doctor advised every day. Double the dose if they miss one, and take it only when they remember. Yeah, so we are getting the answers now. C, 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 C. Yeah. So the answer is C.
Yeah.
You need to take the medications as advised, okay, by the doctor every day. Some people take it even twice a day. All right. So if you're fortunate enough to be taking medications for high blood pressure, it's an advice from me to you to stick to what your doctor has advised. And if you want to stop your medication, you need to inform your doctor for it to be tailed off, okay, and they will make a medical decision based on that. All right, thank you so much. Is there any question? Any other one? Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone who has attended this session. May we all live long, may we live well, and we live blood pressure free. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eweka. Thank you. And because I was sharing my screen, I didn't get to see people that have been coming in. I just want to once again welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining this event. I do appreciate your time. And we've heard from Dr. Eweka. We're going straight to Dr. Inye Nosa Uwagboy. She's an optometrist, and I had an event with her, which wasn't really publicized a couple of weeks ago. And it was when she was talking about glaucoma that she touched on hypertensive retinopathy. And I'm like, whoa, I never knew that high blood pressure can damage your eyes. I know about diabetic retinopathy because here they do tell people to go to the doctor or the optician every year to do the regular eye check when they're diabetic. But I didn't know that high blood pressure could actually damage the eyes as well. So when she talked about that, I'm like, do you know what? We have to do another event where we'll get more people in just to let people know. And like I said in one of my videos that I did a couple of days ago, or even earlier today, I said high blood pressure is so downplayed. People do not know the harm that it can cause if it is not managed. So on that note, I'm going to hand over to Dr. Inye, my beautiful sister, to talk about hypertensive retinopathy, and I will share my screen as well for her. Okay, over to you, Inye. You're on mute. Hello, can you hear? Inye, can you hear us? I think there's Inye, can you hear us? Dr. Inye, can you hear us? There seems to be a delay. Hello? I don't know if she can hear. Okay, I don't know what's going on. I think she cannot hear us. I'm going to give her a call.
No, I think she's muted. She's muted. Can we? Okay, you're muted, ma. Can you
Dr.
unmute?
Inye, you are on mute. Because I'm sharing my screen, I can't see. So let me stop sharing and go back. Yeah, you are on mute. We can't hear you. I don't know what's going on. Just bear with us while we quickly sort this. So unmute yourself. She's trying to sort her audio out. I apologize for that. Hello, Dr. Inye, can you hear now?
I can.
Yeah, unmute yourself. You've gone on mute again. Okay, I don't know. I think it's the internet. I don't know if she's still here. I don't know if she's still here. We're trying to sort the internet out. That's what the issue that we're having. Okay, she's trying to come back in. Yeah, it's just the internet that's acting up. Okay. She's here now. Hello.
Hi.
Hey, yippee, we can hear you now. I'll share my screen.
Welcome.
I'll share my screen so we can kick off. Yeah, but can you hear us here?
Yes, I can hear you.
Fantastic. So I'm sharing my screen now. Over to Dr. Inye.
All right, thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're hearing me from. I'm Dr. Inye Wagboy, an optometrist in Nigeria. And today I'll be talking about hypertensive retinopathy, a window to systemic eye health. Now, you may be wondering, what is this? We've talked about hypertension. Now we're going to the retinopathy. Now, when we're talking about the retina, we're talking about the part of the eyes, which is the light-sensitive part of the eye, where messages is being passed to the brain. So most people don't know that most people know that high blood pressure can damage the heart, kidneys, and even the brain, but they do not know it can damage the back of their eyes, which is the retina, and silently affect your vision. Hear that word, silently affect your vision. Now, this condition is called hypertensive retinopathy. It's taken from the word retina, which is the inside layer of your eyes. And that's what makes it dangerous. And it also often doesn't cause any symptom until the damage is serious. So many persons walk around every day thinking their eyes are fine, only to discover that during a routine eye exam, that high blood pressure has already started to affect their sight. And today, I will show you how high blood pressure can affect your eyes, the warning signs, and most importantly, how to protect your vision or someone you love that has hypertension. So can we go to the next slide? We've already talked about the risk factors for hypertension. Dr. Eweka talked about aging, genetics. It runs in families. So somebody has it in your family, please watch out for yourself, because I thank God my mom is here today to watch this, because it's not a situation I reject it. It runs in families, let's accept it, while we also watch out for ourselves. Overweight or obesity can also be a risk factor for hypertension. Not being physically active, high salt diet, these are the things Dr. Eweka has already helped us with in the the first presentation. Now, let's go to hypertensive retinopathy. Hypertensive retinopathy, which is the next slide, is simply defined as a damage to the retina. Like I said, the retina is the light-sensitive part of the eye, and it's from there messages are being sent through the optic nerve to the brain. And when this retinopathy happens, it affects both the retina and the retinal circulation. We're talking about the circulation, we're talking about the blood vessels, the arteries and the veins, caused by a long term of severe high blood pressure. So just as hypertension affects the heart, the brain and kidneys, it can also affect the eyes, which is the light sensitive part of the eye. And it is very common, but often overlooked, because it's an overlooked complication of hypertension. So this is why we are sensitizing everybody to just have an idea that something like this, when you have hypertension, you need to still watch out for your eyes. It's not just the blood pressure. it affects every part of your body. Now, the next slide shows a picture of a healthy eye and an eye with a retinopathy. Now, if you look at the two, you'll see that in the eyes that is healthy, there is no bleeding. That red spot you are seeing on that healthy eye is the macula, which is the portion for central vision. That is where you see your best while looking straight ahead. That is the macula. So it is not bleeding, it's just how that place looks like. But unlike the other, which is the eye that has retinopathy, there is bleedings around. You could see some white dots we call continuous spot and a hard exudates. These are seepage of liquid from the blood vessels because they start getting damaged and they start leaking off their contents into the eye. All right. So why should you care? Why should you care about it? It's often asymptomatic. You don't really have the symptoms, and that's why you should care. Because unclearly, when I used to see very well before, I don't know what's happening now. That is why you should care. Because it could lead to blood vision, it could lead to vision loss, and also signs of stroke, brain damage, heart diseases. Yes, that is why you should care. Your eyes could reveal the early signs of a more serious problems happening around, even elsewhere in the body. Your eyes. You know, that's why one thing that is unique about the eye is one portion of the body that you can actually look and see veins, you can see the arteries from through this pupil. You can actually see those parts. You can know whether they are healthy or not. You can actually look and you can detect some other diseases of the body. That's why the eyes are very unique. That is the portion of the body that you can actually see veins and arteries in without big instruments, right? So how high blood pressure affects the eyes. Now, it may interest you to know that aside hypertensive retinopathy, we also have conditions like choroidopathy, optic neuropathy that high blood pressure can also cause. So even when we're telling you about high blood pressure I will not only tell you about hypertensive retinopathy can cause other damages in the eyes, such as choroidopathy. And this choroid is just behind the retina. Now, the eyes are made up of 3 layers. We have the sclera, which is this white part of the eye, which everybody sees. At the middle layer is the choroid. And after that, which is the inner layer, is the retina. Now, the light is being sent. In my previous seminar, we talked about it, how messages is being sent from an image to the brain. Now, the brain does more of the seeing. Your eyes is just a passage for light to go through, and the brain does the processing. So it's one thing for your eyes to be opened. The other part is for the brain to be able to interpret it. And that's where the retina comes in. So the retina allows light and sends those light signals to through the optic nerve to the brain for interpretation. So high blood pressure can harm the many tiny blood vessels in the eyes, and blood vision or complete loss of sight can happen when there's no blood flow to the retina. Just imagine there's no blood flow to this hand. You know the hand is going because nothing can, when there's no blood flow, the hand is more or less dead because it will just be there and it's not functioning. So that's what happens in hypertensive retinopathy. So there can be buildup of fluid under the retina. You know, I said under the retina we have the choroid, which is the middle layer, and this can cause distorted vision, can also cause detachments, right? And it can also create scars that affect the vision. And for the optic neuropathy, blood vessels damages the optic nerve, and this can kill the optic nerve cells in the eyes. All right, and that's what we call optic neuropathy. So high blood pressure can increase the risk of developing conditions such as glaucoma, which we discussed before, and macular degeneration, which can cause vision impairment or blindness if not treated. So the next slide shows how high blood pressure affects the eyes. We will not talk too much about it. I will just talk about the first one, which was about occlusion of the major retinal vessels or retinal vessels. We have the branch retinal vessels. The hypertension can cause an occlusion. It occludes it that blood is not able to flow through to those areas. And when blood doesn't flow through, obviously that place is gone. All right. Next slide, please. So how does this happen? Consistently high blood pressure causes thickening. Now, you remember that our blood vessels, they are like pipes, which Dr. Eweka talked about. They are like pipes, and imagine water going through it, all right? So when there's a blockage or there's a stoppage of the water, if the water is still flowing, it can cause the side that is blocked. It's either it bursts open and pour out its content because of the pressure. That's what happened during high blood pressure, right? So high blood pressure causes thickening and narrowing of the arteries, the retinal arteries, and this limits blood flow, leading to bleeding, swelling, and eventual vision damage. Now we have stages of this condition. We have the mild stage, which there's just narrowing of the arteries. At the moderate stage, we have hemorrhages. You see that, there's blood bleeding everywhere around the eyes. You see exudates coming out from the eyes. You see yellowish lipid deposits around the eyes. Now, for the severe case, we have the optic nerve swelling. Now, we also know this, this is also known as papilledema. This is an emergency. Now, a patient comes in with this, there's a way to go about it, and you may have to collaborate with a cardiologist because it's a medical emergency, can lead to stroke, can lead to brain damage and different conditions. When you are seeing that the optic nerve is swollen. Now, remember, like I said, the optic nerve is a connection between the eye and the brain. The eye and the brain. So if there's a swelling, obviously something is already happening to the brain. We wouldn't want to take that for granted. Now we'll talk about the disease processes, and we have the acute and chronic hypertensive retinopathy. Now, next slide, okay. The hypertensive retinopathy has two processes. We have the acute hypertensive retinopathy and the chronic hypertensive retinopathy. Now, you'll be shocked when I tell you that in the acute stage, it may be seen in patients of different ages. And this is due to a sudden severe hypertension, usually secondary to other conditions. Now, imagine a pregnant woman with preeclampsia. Obviously, the blood pressure just shoots high. You understand? And it's a medical emergency. This is an acute stage. So you're saying that this person is maybe young as in their 20s. They can have this acute hypertensive retinopathy due to drug abuse or hyperthyroidism. So they're usually secondary. They're not a primary hypertensive case. It's usually something else that's actually causing the hypertension. So this is the acute phase. Then we also have the chronic, which is seen in older patients due to long-standing hypertension and atherosclerosis. Now, in atherosclerosis, the retinal arteries expand and compresses veins. Now, when I will say that, the arteries, they expand and compress on veins, and this will now cause occlusion. I will show you the picture in the course of our discussion. Now, these are the features. The next slide. These are the features of the acute and the chronic hypertensive retinopathy, the differences. I will not talk so much here. Blood pressure is usually sudden for the acute one. Sudden, you just see that the person is doing well, all of a sudden blood pressure goes up. It's usually sudden, severe elevation. And for the chronic, it's long-standing. It's something they've been trying to manage or something they've not been managing very well. Like for the vasoconstriction, that means the veins are constricting, the veins of the eyes, they are constricting. It can be reversible, but in the chronic, it may not, all right? May not. So vision loss in acute may be reversible with the blood pressure, but vision loss can be permanent, especially when the macula is affected in the chronic hypertensive retinopathy. Now we have phases of hypertensive retinopathy. We have the vasoconstrictive stage, which is the first sclerotic and the exudative phase. Now in the vasoconstrictive state, hello, can you hear me? Hello, can I continue?
Yeah, carry on. Continue, please. If you're not speaking,
okay.
Mute your mic, please. Thank you. You can carry on in here. Thank you.
All right. In the vasoconstrictive state, due to elevated pressures, the retinal vessels has an autoregulatory mechanisms that when the pressure is high, it causes the vessels to constrict. You understand? To prevent damage to the blood vessels. But it gets to a point when it gets to elevated more than 115 diastolic. Now we talk about the systolic and diastolic. The systolic is the one on top, while the diastolic is the one below. So when it is more than that, it becomes a concern, and the autoregulatory mechanism cannot help. All right. So in the vasoconstrictive state, the body has its way of responding by tightening the arteries to prevent damage, and also helping the body to reduce the blood pressure. All right. In the sclerotic phase, there are other. Okay. In the sclerotic phase, the layers of the endothelial cells. Okay, let me not bore you with this. Let's go to the next picture. Now look at what I was talking about, AV nicking. Now, if you notice the first picture, there's an artery, all right, in the left-hand side. There's an artery on top a vein. It just crosses it without any issue. But in the next picture, the picture by the right-hand side, you will notice that the artery crosses it and compresses it such that you'll see that it's like the vein is almost separating into two, like it's being compressed and blood is not able to flow out. Okay, that's what happens in AV nicking. Can we go to the next slide? So the exudative phase is the worst stage of hypertensive retinopathy and seen in severely elevated blood pressure. Now, there's a destruction in the blood-brain barrier causing leakages of plasma and blood, retinal hemorrhages, exudates, lack of blood flow, that's retinal ischemia, necrosis, death of the cells and all of them. Then papilledema. You know, I've talked about the papilledema, which is optic nerve swelling. So without treatment in this case, hypertensive retinopathy can lead to vision loss. Retinal hemorrhages develop from dead vessels. As when the dead vessels bleed into either the superficial layer or the inner layer, they causes different kind of hemorrhage. You have the flame shape or the blood shape hemorrhage. The cortical spots also caused by ischemia, that is lack of blood flow to the retina. Okay, so this is how the eyes look like when there's hypertensive retinopathy. Now you'll be imagining that from looking at, I just carry an instrument and I just look through. It's like a torchlight I'm using to look at the inside of the eyes, and I'm like, ma, like your BP or sir, your BP, you'll not be controlling your BP. And the person is like, I didn't tell her anything about BP. Yeah, because from the eyes, I could actually see that, oh, there's AV nicking, there's a blood hemorrhage in the eye, there's cottonwool spots around, there's copper wiring. The wiring, that means it means that the arteries there, they're already dying off. There's already edema. This is even an emergency. I need to refer you to a cardiologist as soon as possible. This is what we can actually see from the eye. So symptoms of hypertensive retinopathy. Can we go on, please? Next slide. Most people with hypertensive retinopathy do not have symptoms until late in the disease. All right? Symptoms may include double vision, dim vision, headaches, and vision loss. All right? These are the symptoms of hypertensive retinopathy. Now, you now ask, how is this being diagnosed? Can we go to the next slide? Yes, a comprehensive eye examination. I will talk about Nigeria because I live here and I work here. Here we are all interested. Majority of us are interested in glasses. I cannot see clearly, doctor, I need glasses. It's just glasses I need. They don't want to go through the process of having a comprehensive eye examination. A comprehensive eye examination is very important to be able to know if there are other systemic conditions that we need to take care of, because the eye not being just being the window of the to the soul is also a window to systemic health. So there are different tests that will be carried out, from checking your visual acuity to the external examination, to the internal examination of the eye, to the intraocular pressures. All of them put together, we're able to tell a comprehensive eye examination. So, like I tell people, if your problem is just glasses, you don't have a problem. But you need to go for an eye check to know whether it's just glasses or not. So an optometrist or ophthalmologist will perform fundoscopy using an ophthalmoscope to check for narrowing of the blood vessels or fluids that leak from the blood vessels. Also, a blood pressure check. A blood pressure check, which we do for every patient that comes in, to be able to know if there's any systemic issues while taking care of their eyes. We also have what we call the optical coherence tomography test, OCT, which is a 3D view. It gives a 3D view of the inner structures of your eyes. Now, the degree of damage to the retina is graded on a scale of 1 to 4. So can we go to the next slide, please? Now, this is the grading of the hypertensive retinopathy. You see that in grade 1, there are no symptoms. Grade 2 is still asymptomatic. Grade 3, there are some symptoms in the vision. And in grade 4, I want to hammer on that grade 4 because in grade 4 is a continuation of both grade 3 and papilledema. You know, I talk about papilledema, swelling of the optic disc. The optic disc, and that is the point, like I said, is a connection between the eye and the brain. So it is severe there, and the chances of survival is very slim. So you'll be surprised that even from the eyes, I can tell that, oh, this person has an impending stroke that is coming, that we have to either send to a cardiologist as soon as possible to help to prevent such. So from this eye, we can tell such conditions. So these are pictures. You may not be able to understand the pictures very well. Okay, I'll go for the next slide, please. The next slide. Okay, for the next slide, we can see grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and grade 4. Now, in grade 1, you can see a circular, like in the almost at the middle, a yellowish circular part. That is the optic nerve head. That's the optic nerve there. That's, you would say, it's a disc margin. That's what you are seeing around, but that's the optic nerve, and that is the place that connects the eyes to the brain. All right. Now you see that in the grade 3, you can barely even observe it. you just see a part of it, barely. Yes, a part of it. Yes, that place that you just touch, a part of it. No, not that place. The other side. No, here. Yes, that place. No, you've taken the cursor off it. At this, close to the veins, the middle of. Yes, that place. Yes, you can see it. Yes, that place. You can barely just see the runs this because it's becoming swollen. It's becoming swollen. Then you see at the grade 4, you barely even notice if there's anything there because it is very swollen. There's hemorrhages around. At this point, it's a medical emergency. So how do we manage hypertensive retinopathy? That's the next slide. And Dr. Weka he has elaborated how to manage your blood pressure. The management for hypertensive retinopathy is control of your blood pressure. Control of your blood pressure. I like the fact that he was able to exhaust, even talking about the DASH diet, different things on workout, lifestyle, and just to help us to know how to manage our blood pressures. Then collaboration with a cardiologist or a physician. Your cardiologist and your physician, they have to collaborate. Even with your eye doctor, yes, they have to collaborate. Maybe the doctor sees, the eye doctor sees that either the optometrist or the ophthalmologist, and they refer you to a cardiologist, and they work hand in hand to bring about management for the hypertensive retinopathy. Then regular eye checkups. Regular eye checkups. Now, we're going to, for the prognosis. Okay. Now, people with grade 4, which I said is a severe retinopathy, often have heart and kidney problems due to high blood pressure, and they are also at a higher risk for stroke. All right. I've talked about that hypertensive retinopathy because at this point, the disc is already swollen, and that disc, optic nerve, is a connection between the eye and the brain. Obviously, there's something already happening in the brain. Usually, it can even lead to maybe the person may have to undergo a brain surgery. Yes, as a result of that, and the risk, the survival chances are very slim. So in most cases, the retina will heal if the blood pressure is controlled. However, some people with grade 4 retinopathy will have lasting damage to the optic nerve or macula if not taken for an eye check or to the cardiologist for further management. So, next slide, please. Have you checked your blood pressure recently? Hey, thank God my mother is here. She will listen to this. Hey, have you checked your blood pressure recently? Have your eyes been examined in the last 1 year? If no, book your eye checkup today, a comprehensive eye checkup today. It is very important. And I'll be going to the quiz. But before I go to the quiz, I have something I want to share, and it's about Amaka. Are you listening to me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello.
We can hear you. Carry on.
Okay, that's fine. All right, that's fine. So Amaka was 32 years, radiant and glowing in her 3rd trimester. And it was her first pregnancy, and she was excited. Decorating the nursery, attending antenatal classes, and counting down the days. But something changed one evening. She noticed strange flickering lights in her vision. The next morning, a dark spot danced before her left eye. Maybe it's just pregnancy stress, she told herself. But by evening, the blurriness worsened and a splitting headache set in. Her husband insisted they go to the clinic. At the eye clinic, the blood pressure was 190 over 110. An urgent fundus exam revealed severe hypertensive retinopathy, swollen optic disc, cottonwool spot, flame-shaped hemorrhages. Her eyes were sending a clear message. Something was terribly wrong. The optometrist urgently referred her to the hospital, where she was diagnosed with preeclampsia, a potential life-threatening condition for both mother and child. Thanks to the timely examination, Amaka was stabilized, admitted for close monitoring, and eventually delivered a healthy baby boy via C-section. And when she returned for a follow-up eye check weeks later, she smiled and said, "I thought it was just my eyes. I never knew they could warn me in time to save my baby and myself." All right. So next we'll go for the quiz. Are we ready? Are we ready for the quiz?
Yes, we are ready.
I hope you are excited.
Yes, we're ready.
All right. So the first question says, which part of the eye is affected in hypertensive retinopathy? They've already started answering. Oh, thank you. Gabriela Batista, thank you so much. That's fine. That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. Wow. Yes, keep the answer coming. Okay. All right. So the answer is retinopathy. Pathology that has to do or disease of the retina. That's just it. Okay, the next question, please. True or false? Okay. Next question.
Yeah.
Next question. Okay. True or false? Hypertensive retinopathy always give early warning symptoms. True or false? I'm waiting for your responses. Gabriela, thank you so much. Bimbo, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm getting your messages, your responses. All right, thank you. So the answer is false. Hypertensive retinopathy doesn't always give you an early warning symptom. Yes, it doesn't give you a warning symptom. All right. So let's go to the next one. I think we should go. Okay, let's go to the next slide, please. The number 4. Number 4. Number 4. The one after this.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Now. What is the most effective way to prevent hypertensive retinopathy? Is it wearing of glasses, using of eye drops, controlling blood pressure, or drinking lots of water? My people, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm getting your answers. Yes, controlling blood pressure. Thank you so much. It shows that you are listening. All right. So now let's go to the next slide. Number 5.
Yeah, I'm on it now.
Okay, that's fine. Which healthcare professional is likely to detect hypertensive retinopathy at first? Before I even mention, oh my God, thank you so much. Yes. Everybody ready? Yes. The answer is C, your optometrist or your ophthalmologist. Any of those eye doctors can actually detect hypertensive retinopathy. Yes. Number 6, please. Number 6.
Yeah, it's on now.
All right. Now, at what stage? Oh my God! Before I even said it, I already asked you. Okay, at what stage does hypertensive retinopathy becomes an emergency? All right, I'm already getting answers. Thank you so much. At the severe stage, yes, No, not all the stages are emergency. At the severe stage, it becomes an emergency, where I said there is papilledema and the optic nerve becomes swollen. That's at the severe stage. Yes, it becomes an emergency that you quickly have to run to a cardiologist for help. Okay. Number 7. Number 7.
Yeah, it's
okay.
on.
So how often should people with high blood pressure get their eyes examined? How often should people with high blood pressure get their eyes examined? Thank you so much. I'm already receiving your answer. Even before I read it out, you've already answered. Thank you so much. At least once a year. Once you have high blood pressure, go for an eye check every year. Go for an eye check every year. Thank you so much. So, in conclusion, we have learned that hypertensive retinopathy is silent and a serious threat to vision, especially for people with high blood pressure. It doesn't always give early signs, but the damage can be long-lasting or even permanent if not enough detected early. So the eyes are not just a window to the soul. They are also windows to your overall health. A quick eye exam could be the first clue to a bigger medical issue. Remember, the best treatment is early detection and prevention. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much for presenting. I appreciate you. Thank you, Dr. Eka. Thank you to everybody here. I just want to share a quick story about this eye exam. I actually know of a case where somebody was complaining of persistent headache. The person kept going to the GP to say, well, I have headache, and GP will give her pain relief and they say, oh, you are stressed and you have this. She was going, they'll give her medication, she will go home. I kid you not, she now went for her eye exam. This is in the UK. She went for her eye exam and it was the optician, from the optician's place that she went straight to the hospital. And upon examination, she had a brain mass. So eye exam is very important. It's like you said, it's a window to our overall health, not just diabetic retinopathy, hypertensive retinopathy, glaucoma, and all that. Eye exam is very important. And you mentioned something about people who just want glasses. I hope that people learn from topics or events like this to know that it's not just getting glasses. And I just want to ask this question. When people go to the shop, because here, I don't know how it is back home in Nigeria. Here, you can actually go to a shop and buy corrective glasses. As an optician, do you recommend that? I think our internet has gone off. Dr. Eweka, if you're here, can you please throw a bit of light on that?
Your question is if I recommend just going to any shop and getting any kind of glasses.
Yeah, because sometimes even in Tesco, as that you can see the glass section, they'll put some glasses and say they are glasses for reading. So is that recommended?
Yeah, no, I will not recommend that, to be honest. If you cannot get, I think if you cannot get glasses from an approved optometrist or ophthalmologist, it's not good enough, because some of these glasses might even put strain on the eyes. Before they recommend glasses for you, they do your various measurements, and all that. They check the power of the lens and all that, if it's specific for you. I think an optometrist is here, so she can throw more light on that.
Yeah.
But if you are given a lens that does not fit your lens power and all that, it might actually put more strain on your eyes and cause more problems for you. So I think it has to be recommended, to be honest, to avoid any form of complications.
Yeah, thank you. Dr. Inye, I don't know if you got the question that I asked.
All right.
There was break in internet.
Yes. I heard the question you asked. Well, reading glasses, it's not actually right to just get a reading glasses. For me, reading glasses are just something you use temporarily. Like, okay, maybe you go for, maybe you go somewhere, you forgot your glasses and you really needed something to just use. That should not take the place of you visiting an eye care specialist. You should go visit an eye care specialist so that they can view or check your eyes and know what is essential for you to use for your eyes. Sometimes just you magnifying, because the reading glasses, they are more of magnifiers to be able to read your print. It's not enough for you to just magnify your print and you say your eyes are okay. There's more to your eyes than just, like I said, just glasses. Let them have a check and know what's happening on the inside of your eyes.
Okay, thank you. And somebody said in the chat section that they would like to know more about macular degeneration. If you can just give us just quick, short insight about what macular degeneration is, please.
Okay. Macular degeneration has to do with, it's an aging process of the eyes, all right? It affects the central part. You know, I talked about the macula before, and that central part is what leads to, that's where you get your view, your central view from, the macula. And they could be dry, they could be wet, and it can cause rapid loss. They are depending on the type of macular degeneration you're having. Some may even be due to diabetes. It may be related to other conditions in the body. So early stages do not show symptoms, but as it progresses, people will start experiencing vision loss, difficulty in recognizing faces, and distortion in straight lines. So regular eye examination is okay for it. Then change in lifestyle. That's why I said it goes with diabetes, taking of nutritional supplements. If for the wet type, there are some injections we give. We call it laser. So because there'll be some blood vessels that is abnormal blood vessel that starts growing in the middle of the vision. So there's some laser therapy or injection that will be given to knock off such things. So more often than not, it's an aging condition, but also it goes with diabetes. All right.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. I've put in the comment section. So if you've got any question to ask, this is the time to ask. If you want to unmute your mic, if you want to put in the comments, the chat box, please do. This is your time to ask. And there was a question I was going to ask, but you touched on that during the quiz about how often should people do this comprehensive eye check. You did mention that at least yearly.
The network seems to be breaking.
Yeah. Did you hear my question?
And I think that
there's a break. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Good. I said there was a question I was going to ask, but you touched on it during the quiz session about how often should we get the comprehensive eye check. And I think you mentioned that yearly it's advisable. So thank you for that. But what I wanted to ask Dr. Eweka, this question is for you, please. How often should people check their blood pressure?
Okay, thank you very much. Like I explained before, there are certain reasons why your blood pressure go up. Talking about the modifiable and the non-modifiable risk factors. You know, I mentioned something about age. I said age is one of the non-modifiable risk factors that you cannot do anything about. With time, your blood pressure just increases as you begin to grow older. You know, most people say once a year, but I would say as you are getting older, the frequency in which you check your blood pressure should reduce. So I would say 6 months for older persons who are maybe close to 60 or more than that. Okay. So, but for younger persons, they can do it yearly just as a screening measure, basically.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. When you were saying for older persons, I was thinking, what do you mean old? Are you now saying we are all old? So mind your language.
I just want to mention, sorry, apart from age,
Yeah.
other people who have more risk factors, for example, someone who has a family history of high blood pressure, okay, or maybe metabolic conditions like diabetes, maybe cancer, but majorly high blood pressure. If you have a family history of high blood pressure, you should check in more frequently than an average person who doing it every year. Yeah, you have a problem with kidney disease or stuff like that. Yeah, it every 6 months and all that.
Okay, thank you very much. And my big Auntie Ruth Omorige, she's put her hands up. Good afternoon, ma.
Good afternoon, Koyo. Thank you so much for this.
God bless you, Auntie.
Thanks,
Thank you for joining us. Thank you, ma.
Thank God. It's a very beautiful session. Thanks to Dr. Eweka and Dr. Nye. I had to raise my hand up because of the question that was asked in relation to the checks. Is it the regular check or what kind of check are we talking about here? Because it seems having the blood pressure monitor at home is undermined by the answers we are receiving now. Or am I not getting it? But saying 6 months or 1 year, is there our blood test or whatever? I don't know. I want more clarity around it. So it doesn't look as if when you have the blood pressure monitor at home to check your blood pressure on a regular basis, it's not being overruled here. So everybody have an understanding of what is being said.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma, for that question. And I understand your concerns, to be fair. And when it comes to having a blood pressure monitor at home, it's a very good initiative and it's encouraged, to be honest. Especially for older people, we should have our blood pressure checks from time to time. But the point is, even in the UK, we have what we call the well men check and the well women check. Yeah, it's done by the GP. So anybody who is above 40 must undergo that test. Okay, so what that test involves is coming in, checking your weight, checking your height, measuring your body mass index, which is your BMI, measuring your blood pressure, and taking your routine blood test. So that routine blood test would include your full blood count, your kidney function test, your liver function test, your cholesterol levels. Okay, so that's what they check. And if you are a man who is probably above 50, they can check your PSA level if you want. PSA is like a prostate specific antigen, just to measure your risk for prostate cancer. So, yeah, so when we talk about having a checkup every 1 year, and it's a holistic checkup, that's what I understand. So, it's more or less like checking your blood pressure and doing blood tests just to check if anything has changed over the last 1 year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Weka. I still have one question. You've answered the question anyway, but this particular one, in terms of having the monitor at home, how often do we need to use this monitor for those people that are already diagnosed of high blood pressure and they are on medication?
Okay, when it comes to checking your blood pressure, if someone is on medication, it depends on the advice of your doctor. It depends on the stage of hypertension that you are. It depends on a whole lot, really. Depends on the follow-up measure that you are being given. Because, for example, if I give a patient a medication in my clinic, and I say, okay, you are on, for example, Ramipril. Let's say the blood pressure is maybe 140 over maybe 90, for example, and we're starting on one blood pressure medication. I'm giving the patient a follow-up for 1 month. What I tell the patient is check your blood pressure a week before you come and see me. Okay, and that week before you come see me, you are going to document all your blood pressure in the morning and in the evening. So basically, all I want to see is 14 measurement, which is times 2 times 7. Okay, so when the patient comes, I take an average reading of all the measurements. I know I mentioned it earlier. I take an average reading of all the 14 measurements, and I come to a conclusion on the blood pressure and control. Okay, so it's really immaterial to me whether the patient is checking it before then. So I use that 1 week before seeing the patient to make up my mind on if the blood pressure control is good. But it's also good to check your blood pressure from time to time. But the frequency, I cannot really advise on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Auntie, for that beautiful question. Travel to prevail. Just a minute. I just want to chip in something. And there's a beautiful contribution in the chat session. But I just wanted to say, because I have a blood pressure monitor at home, I have a blood sugar monitor at home. I have these things. I even when I just started nursing, I went to eBay and I bought the urine stick. But it just the cash us. We want to do everything. So I have these things at home, checking for myself. And I'll tell you that it is good for everyone, especially if you're at risk. And we talk about age. We talk about age being a non-modifiable risk. We talk about genetics. If you're at high risk of this thing, whether you diagnosed with high blood pressure or not, it is advised that you check it at home as well. How often you want to be checking it? The truth is, even in the hospital, it depends on the criticality of that patient. That's how much we will check the blood pressure. Sometimes morning, afternoon, evening, sometimes every 4 hours, sometimes every hourly. But as an advice, if you are keeping an eye on your blood pressure and you notice, if you check it every other day, it's not a bad thing. And if you notice 2, 3, 4 times consecutively, it is high, go to your doctor, go to your GP. Most times, the doctors, they will take your blood pressure that you used at home, but they will not use that as an essential way of diagnosing you with high blood pressure. They will do theirs, and they would also give a monitor for you to go and check it at home. I think, what's that thing called, Dr. Eweka, that they fix to the body? And
it's called 24-hour BP measure, yeah.
God bless you.
Do it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who answered that.
It's Reverend Veronica.
Oh, God bless you, ma. God bless you. I've seen your hand. I would continue, ma. So that's one. They will give it to you to check at home, and you bring it, and they will use that to monitor. So back to the question. If you have it at home, it's fantastic. I advise people, when you get to a certain age, over 40, get your blood pressure medication. Now we know blood pressure can cause damage. And the thing about the body is one illness will cause 5 more. Blood pressure can damage the kidney. Blood pressure can cause diabetes. Blood pressure can cause eye issues like we've just learned. So it's best that we are checking, we are proactive, and having a monitor at home and checking it constantly. Let's say you check it today and it's within normal levels. Tomorrow, maybe not. The other day, check it. And when you begin to see a trend of it going up, then go to your doctor. So I applaud anyone that's got blood pressure monitor at home. I don't know if that makes sense.
Hello?
Yeah, carry on, doctor. We can hear you. Carry on.
Let me just quickly add to what you have said. I know I've mentioned it before, but I want to re-emphasize it. When it comes to blood pressure control, management, or whatever, it's more or less more important to focus on the lifestyle. We have patients that will give medications. Okay, they've been on medication for years, but still their blood pressure has not been successfully controlled. Okay, reasons being that they are taking this medication and they feel that all they need to do is to take the medication. They can just slouch on their parlor, not do any exercise, keep eating their regular apple and pounded yam and eba, and they feel, oh fine, the medication is already there, so I don't really care. I don't need to do so much of this lifestyle. I can smoke as I want. I can drink so much alcohol. Who gives a shit? By the end of the day, they don't know that it goes hand in hand. You're taking medications. You should also be prioritizing your lifestyle, okay, because that's the best way. It's like a synergistic effect, okay, for you to have the best benefit or result.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. I don't know if we are clear now, Auntie Ruth.
Yes, my sister, we are.
God bless you, ma. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Auntie Reverend Veronica, good evening, ma. Thank you so much. I so appreciate you. Thank you for joining, ma. God bless you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Before I proceed, I know I came in late, and also I don't jump out of meetings like this. I'll be logging off soon because I'm preparing for one myself. I just want to say thank you, everyone that have contributed regarding the eyes, the hypertension. Is a very good topics that we are dealing with.
I work at the diabetic department as well, and especially this macular degeneration that Dr. Ians have mentioned about. I think is an more eye opener for me, But what I just want to go to, I don't know all the people that gave these lessons or what somebody put here in UK, only diabetic people I check up every 2 years, something like that, which I know that is true because I have a sister who is diabetic every year, every 2 years, she goes and check her eyes. So looking at this area of checking eyes, actually, can I ask a question? These our lecturers here, or are you based in UK or in Nigeria? First of all, let me ask that question because I am above 60. The only time I have checked my eyes, or when I do check my eye, is like you mentioned before, Dr. Iye, we go to the Specsavers and or they check our eye, they just give glasses. Personally, I'm fed up of glasses now because the last one they gave me, God knows, it's like a bottle, you know. I can tell you, even when my sister, what is this? Definitely nothing is improving. It's just like everything is deteriorating. Anytime, every 2 years I go and check my eyes, they gave me a higher specification, This last one I went really bothered me. So when coming here now, I'm be hearing this is something that even in my years of I've practiced nursing and midwifery for many years now, about 4 decades. And this is not something I have actually, we talk of diabetes, hypertension, or it's not something I've really directed my eyes on to say, oh, this thing, let's look at it. I'm looking at it to my own self now, referring to myself, So you actually, and I'm sure if you have these meetings again, I will be here. So what the question I ask is this. uh, Maybe I'll have to find out now where to go and check these things in my eye. Because if I have my way, I don't really want glasses anymore. But instead, I'm using higher and deeper and more. When you say conk one, is what I'm using now. So it's good thing. So if you are in the UK, should we just go back to all these Specsavers, eye direct or nose direct and say, look, we want to do a comprehensive check on our eyes because so, or is it just in Nigeria? I know in Nigeria, when you have your money, you do everything at that. When you just go there, you just do whatever you want to do. But here, the waiting list, the worry about it just put us off. So that is it. At the moment, if you are based in the UK, if I can just go to the optometrist or whatever and check all these things, I will do it personally and I will advise people to do it. But if you are still based in Nigeria, it's very good for us, for you to, this information I just personally, I don't know about any other person, because for the past 3 months, I've been bothered about my eyes. So I don't know what is going on, but instead I'm using more deeper glasses that I can't even read. So thank you very much. The information, they are so essential. They are so essential. I'm glad that my dear sister Divine invited me to this platform, Divinely Classic. And I know somebody sent it to me and I called you and I told you I will join, even though my Sundays are busy in the evening. And anytime you are doing this type of thing, just let me know because I like to learn, honestly. I like to learn and pass information to other people, which I'm going to do now, this item. God bless you so much. And are you based in the UK, Dr. Ian and Dr. Andrew also? Dr. Ian and Eweka.
Yes, I'm based in the UK.
Who is that? Dr.
Yes, I'm based in the UK.
Dr. Eweka is based in the UK. Dr. Inye is based in Nigeria.
Nigeria. Okay, yes. That's fine. I'm glad to know that one.
And
all right then.
Auntie, while you are on it, sorry to cut you short now, while you're on it, because I know that you are a diabetic specialist. And this is an area that I was even thinking about when I realized there's what is called hypertensive retinopathy. When I've done a program on diabetes before, and even in uni, one of the things that they teach us is the damage that diabetes does to the eyes, the micro and the macro damage. And that's where the diabetic retinopathy came in. And I also understand that here, as soon as somebody is diagnosed with diabetes, there is referral for regular eye check. And I was even thinking that, okay, why is there not that same urgency for people with hypertension if we have the same condition caused by hypertension now? So why is it that the doctors are not bothered about people with hypertension and eye damage like they are about diabetes. And eye damage? So I don't know if you can.
It's a bit I will ask, it's a bit complicated. First of all, they take diabetes. You know, the people that actually have diabetes, if you look at it, we look at the race as well, is most of the Asian and maybe Nigerians. I know there are people have as well. But this hypertension area, you know, we are in diabetic area, but most of those that unfortunately, a lot of people, like with the lesson we just had now, a lot of people that have diabetes have hypertension. And they like go hand in hand. So I look at it this way, that because they go hand in hand and they are checking people with diabetes, because most of them have the hypertension as well, they assume they are already doing it. Because I have not seen somebody with just hypertension, like the clinic we run, almost is diabetic, but all of them also have hypertension. You see, so I think this is where they don't separate it, to be honest. That's what I see.
Mom is correct.
Yes, I actually agree. Thank you so much, ma.
You're blessed, eh? So I'm sorry, I will log off now, since, but I will definitely come back again one of these meetings, okay? And I hope it doesn't really clash most of my meetings. I have meetings many times every week, but I will endeavor to always join us, because I love doing health things. Especially I'm getting old now, you know, I want to be okay so I can do my job by God's grace. God bless you. Thanks so much.
God bless you, ma. We appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. So thank you for all your contribution. In the comment section, somebody said Molly Jones and Joseph, sorry. Thank you so much. It said in UK, I think mommy mentioned and touched on it earlier. In UK, only diabetes mellitus people, which is diabetes people, do eye check every 2 years. It must be yearly for hypertension and DN, or is it DM? You know, it's interesting, like we just asked now, why is it not done yearly? But I think that has been answered. So at this junction, is there any contribution, any question that you want to ask before we round up? I want to quickly appreciate my big mommy, Auntie Matilda Idahosa. Good evening, ma. God bless you, ma. I celebrate you. So good to see you after a while. That's the mother of Dr. Inye Nosa Uwagboy. She kept saying, my mom is here, my mom is here. That is her mom. And she's my mommy as well. Good evening, ma. God bless you. Thank you for supporting us. We appreciate you, ma. At this junction, any question, any contribution? If there is none, we will just say thank you to Dr. Eweka. Thank you to Dr. Inye. Thank you so much. The knowledge that you have shared is so much. It's honestly, when I have sessions like this, I am so blessed, because I know that I have learned something. And For those that don't know about Divinely Classy, we are an entrepreneurship brand. We are on YouTube, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, and we share healthy living tips. We do health education like this. And we also have products that we sell, customized products. So visit our website as well, www.divinelyclassic.co.uk. There you can see everything that we do. Our next event, I'm actually talking to Dr. Kenne at the moment. My next event I'm planning for August, either end of August or early September, and I'm planning to do something with a pediatrician called Dr. Kenne to do something on children. That's one. Another event that I am planning, I know I haven't told my big auntie, I don't know if she's still here now. I'm trying to do something on social work, safeguarding children as well. So we'll be talking to people in Ireland, and I'll get a social worker here in the UK as well. So please follow our social media handles so you can see our events and share. So Dr. Ines, she has shared her contact details in the chat section because people are asking me. Thank you so much, my big auntie Soki. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Sister Bola Akinjiwe, we thank you. Jade, Gail, we appreciate you being here. Molly Joseph, my big mommy Matilda Idahosa, my darling Bimbo, Batista Gabriela, thank you so much. I've replied your message. And my sister Ronke, my dear doctor, Andrew and Inye, thank you so much. And Bishop Awodeyi, we appreciate you being here. Until we do our next program, follow our social media handles for all things Divinely Classic, and I hope you all have a good session. I hope you have a good day. Thank you so much for today, and don't forget to share, follow thank you, Auntie Matilda, God bless you, ma. Don't forget to follow our social media handles like I said earlier, and have a good afternoon. I'm going to end it now, and you take care of yourself.